there has been a disturbance in the Force. Welcome to the podcast where we discuss how to outmaneuver your opponents. I'm Faith. I'm here with Jrod, his Dudeness, and we are joined again with Maurder Mo. Due to recent dark side activity, we now have the entire Legends of the Force set spoiled. And now that we have the entire set spoiled, have the results of our leader contest. We are very thankful to Maurder Mo for running the contest on our Discord for this set.
Yeah, contest went really well. First of all, I want to thank everyone for participating, for getting your entries, and especially for joining in the discussion on the Discord. I think it's a lot of fun when we all kind of get together and chat about what's coming out, and appreciate all everyone's participation. So we had 27 participants, and in the end, it came down sort of a neck-and-neck contest between two people. So there was Bat Nelson and Mobius 1, who were kind of neck-and-neck right in the end there. Then when the last four leaders dropped, the points were tallied. We have our winner, and that's going to be Mobius 1, who scored a total of 21 points. And then Bat Nelson was right behind with 20 points, so just 1 point behind.
What was the final leader that tipped in the scale?
I think it was actually Anakin. So Mobius had Anakin and earned 1 point, and Bat Nelson did not pick Anakin anywhere, and so therefore didn't get that final point.
Thank you to everyone who participated, and congratulations to Mobius. We will be in contact with you on getting you your prize of a Set 3 Maul playmat from Asmodeus. So thank you very much to everyone again who participated. Thank you once again to Maurder for running the contest.
Who had the most points out of the four of us in the channel right here?
Well,
that's a great question.
Put in an entry, so I had 0.
So actually, his Dudeness had 13 points, so that would be the leader. And then looks like Faith had 10, and then I sadly had 8.
Wow.
I also I'd like to also give out a couple quick shout outs. So we did tiebreakers. We also had people guess the number of some of the different traits that we knew there were going to be a lot of in the set, like Force, Jedi, and Sith. And so a few people actually guessed exactly right. So for example, like Gundy guessed 120 Force cards exactly. And for Sith, there were 16, and 2 people guessed that correctly. So there's Gandalf XYZ, and friend of me and Jrod, Matto619, also guessed 16. So.
All right, Paul. Shout out to Paul.
Yeah,
it's crazy he gets 120 correct.
Yeah, shout out to Gundy.
That's pretty insane.
Shout out Paul. And by the way, I also should mention Paul, who I drove with down to our PQ, and we got paired up round 1, and he, of course, demolished me 2-0 that day.
Paul's a good player. Gotta watch out for him.
Indeed.
Well, again, thank you to everyone who participated in our contest. Shout out to all the shout outs. And now I want to turn our attention over to some controversy, and Jrod's got the inside scoop.
Yes. So I guess some good and bad. Mostly started off bad, but then FFG kind of made it right. Somehow the full set got spoiled online, and many competitive teams have it, but not all the competitive teams. So due to this being, the set that we're going to be playing Worlds on, FFG felt it only right to release the full set so that way we can have some competitive integrity at the Worlds event. So now we get to play with the full set a little bit earlier. To me, it feels a little bit of set 1 vibes where we had the full set so early on that we get to test a bunch of that set. It kind of feels like that to me, so that's kind of exciting again to have that feeling. But yeah, I mean, it does suck someone spoiled it. I hope in the future that they figure out what happened or they kibosh it so it doesn't happen again, because I think that, spoiling the set slowly is cool. But I think it would be cooler to have it closer to the set release and get more hype that way. People will want to go play more when it's not been out for so long. So I think, I know FFG will take care of it, but yeah. So because of that, we have the full set, and we'll be breaking down some spoilers today.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I want to just quickly, before we get into the spoilers themselves, ask, now that we're having the news and the cards revealed ahead of time, do you guys like this cadence of having basically an entire month before the set reveals to have the cards to play with? Or do you think that be better not done with so much leadway time?
As a content creator, I think it's better for us. It allows us to play with some of the cards and maybe test out some drafts and sealed and that kind of stuff to have a better understanding of what cards to let our followers know, or our people who watch the shows and the channels, give them a better understanding of what they should be looking for at their sealed events when they go play in person. But as just a player myself, I think I probably would prefer it happening like right before the set. I've been playing a little bit of Pokemon Pocket, and they dump it like basically the day before the full set. Otherwise, you have like a couple of cards, but not the whole set. And then the day before it's out, they dump the whole set, and everyone kind of gets to look and speculate. And the next day, everyone's hyped for it and wants to play. I think that's a really cool way to do it. So I wouldn't hate if FFG did that, but I'm cool with honestly either way because it gives me benefits either side of things.
I think this was a bit too early. Like this early before the set, I wouldn't want the entire set revealed. But I do want it revealed like 2 or 3 weeks before the set. Everything is just there, ready to go. It does help content creators, especially knowing what all of the commons are in the draft set to make a draft video is like pretty important, you know? But it is unfortunate that someone leaked it, and so they had to kind of play damage control a little bit to try to fix it. I didn't know there was a leak at first, and I just thought they released the whole set just because that's what they did now, and I was pretty excited. But, you know, this is a bit too early to release the entire set, but I do wish they released the entire set much sooner than they do normally.
Marauder, as a player, how is your feelings on this?
Yeah, for me, I guess I might be a little bit in a different camp where I like to be surprised, and the opening a pack and then seeing a card for the first time is kind of fun and exciting. And so in the past, what I've done is kind of try to avoid like those last handful of spoilers, or try to not watch other people's pack opening videos like this until after like I've been able to open my own pack. Sometimes I like to see things for the first time in my own hand.
Very respectable and commendable. Now that we've talked a little bit about our thoughts about having this information early, we would be remiss if we did not talk about these cards that were officially spoiled by FFG. And let's start off with talking about some of the 4 leaders that we got. Which of these leaders, if any, spoke to you guys?
I'll start us off here. I'm a big fan of Barris Offie. I think she could be a pretty good control leader. It'll be interesting to see if someone does make a deck with her, allowing you to play events ahead of curve. So like being able to play Takedown for 3 or being able to play Super Laser Blast for 7. Like those small little cost reductions really matter. I mean, we've seen Han 2, the young Han, really be a force in almost all the formats, or at least being a player, at least just because of the fact that he can play units ahead of curve. And I think Barris will offer something similar for the control people. So for that, I was, I'm interested to try testing out with her, see what she can do.
Dudeness, any of the leaders speak to you?
Honestly, none of the leaders from this side really speak to me. Like, I'm not excited to play any one of these 18 leaders that they released.
Well, that's good for talking about the fact that these are all going to be force leaders. And one thing that I'm worried about a little bit in these leaders going forward is a lot of them do need the force token, and you need to have cards to use the force token to get and have the force token in order to use it. I think an easy one of these 4 to talk about would be Anakin, kind of the counter of Darth Revan, being a heroism only leader. However, if you don't have a way to generate the force token, you cannot play Anakin. There's no point in it because his ability is so required on that force token. However, it is really cool in my mind to be able to use his effect, which is you can, when using the force token, you can play a villainy non-unit card from your hand and ignore its aspect penalties. What's really cool with that is it doesn't say you just ignore the villainy aspect penalty. So you could be in Anakin Green and play Power of the Dark by using the Force, play Power of the Dark Side for 3, even though you share neither aspect. So that's a really fun part about Anakin. However, going forward, you're still going to need probably one of those bases to generate that force token.
You can also use pilots with him too, because even though it says non-unit pilots are technically upgrades when you play them, as long as you're playing them as an upgrade, and he would allow you to play that as well.
Yeah, because it's a pilot's read when you play this from your hand as an upgrade. Yes.
Hello, Ren is really who speaks to me. I know he's probably not going to be the most competitive, but just the idea of like kind of building a Voltron and being able to throw a whole bunch of upgrades on him at once. As soon as he flips, sounds like a lot of fun, and it's kind of right up my style of being, the kind of player that likes the kind of wacky combos, or trying to pull off some cool thing that makes my opponent go, oh, unless of course they have something to just one shot it. But
I think one of the most competitive cards that we're gonna see out of this last dump that we have here is not a super exciting card, but one that I think is going to fit right into a Quinlan Tuckertown deck. It's N1 Starfighter. It's a space unit, 2 cost, cunning, heroism, 3/2 Naboo vehicle fighter. That's it, just a common. But I do believe that a lot of Quinlan decks weren't playing A-Wing anymore because it became such a bad card to play because there's a lot more 3/2s in space now. So they didn't really have a great turn 1 play, and adding the N1 Starfighter to that deck I think could be really powerful. So to me, I think that card, it's just because it's a 3/2 in that color pairing, will allow itself to be one of the more competitive cards that we've seen from this dump.
Dudeness, what about yourself? Which cards, what's the card that most speaks to you from this recent dump?
My boy Yoda is a legendary unit here. A little 8-cost command heroism 5/9, Force Jedi Republic, of course. And when played, you may use the Force if you do heal 5 damage from a base. So you can negotiate with that in Twin Suns if you really want to. And when you use the Force, you may deal damage to a unit equal to twice the number of units you control. So at the bare minimum, it's always going to do 2 damage, assuming you have the Force to use to heal, which isn't super exciting, but it can finish something off potentially. And it's not too unreasonable to think you can get 4 or 6 damage out of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That as a floor, it's maybe not the best, but that's a floor, and that could definitely be growing.
And there's a small chance he might actually be worth more than $1, question mark, which in this set is quite the feat, I think. So he does have that going for him, which is pretty cool.
I want to briefly, first off, talk about Rey. And the reason I want to talk about Rey is she's got and this is the unit Rey. She's a 5-cost aggression, heroism, 5/5, Force Jedi resistance. She has an ability that we really haven't seen yet, which is when you draw this card during the action phase. And then it reads, if you control a red leader or base, which basically means you're playing her in aspect, which is very common to do. You may reveal this card from your hand. If you do, deal 2 damage to a unit and 2 damage to a base. So it should be noted, first off, you do have to draw this during the action phase, so it's not like at the start of your turn you're drawing her. But that effect to be able to do something just by drawing her, and you don't have to pay any additional resources or an action in itself, I think is a really cool idea, and something that I think, first off, the card is strong. To be able to deal 2 damage to a base and to a unit is pretty worthwhile, but I'm also excited for what that means for the game going forward as well.
Yeah, I think her best pairing currently would probably be with leader Yoda in red, being able to put her back on top and then playing a card that lets you draw a card, and then obviously being able to purposefully do it without having to worry about when you draw her. I think it's probably where I would put her first and try her out.
Even just using Yoda's ability, tapping it to draw the card. So if you do draw her off of Yoda's ability,
right,
that's pretty great too. That just triggers it.
True.
But I'm saying, like, let's say you drew her for the turn, right?
Yeah.
So in the 2 cards, and then you could use Yoda to put her back on top, and then draw her another way, and then
totally twice in the same turn.
Yeah, I guess you could if you drew 2 cards.
I mean, well, if you in Magical Christmas Land, where you activate Yoda's ability to draw the top card of your deck, it happens to be Rey.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You do the thing, and then you put Rey right back on top and somehow draw it again, right?
And then Magical Christmas Land is you had 2 Reys on the top of your deck. So then you played something that drew 2 cards, and you drew 2 of them.
Oh, would you mean like Katie Mundi?
That would be incredible.
Yes, Kiadi Mundi. Why don't you talk to us about Kiadi Mundi?
I don't think he was in the dump, though.
He's not in the dump, but he's just a good card.
He is a good card. All right, I'll talk about Kaidi Mundi. So Kaidi Mundi is a ground unit, 4-cost aggression, heroism. We must push on. He's a 4/4 Force Jedi Republic. He's an uncommon, and then when played, you may use the Force. If you do, draw 2 cards. So we've seen this game that, like, drawing 2 cards is pretty irrelevant. Like, people don't play those kind of cards. We've had multiple of them so far, and none of them have seen any kind of play at all. I expect if there is any deck that even, like, mildly uses the Force, this guy will be very, very good. I've been testing out some set 5 stuff since we had the whole dump, and whenever I play against this guy, I'm always like, oh god, how do I deal with a 4/4 for 4? This is not great stat line, but then they just draw 2 cards, so it's like a free unit almost. So he's definitely a very good card, and one that I'm looking forward to try and play with.
I mean, a 4/4 isn't awful.
No, I mean, it's like slightly below average, but you also get the great effect of drawing 2 cards, right? So
and yeah, they should take note. This is how you do card draw in this game, is by stapling it onto a body. Yeah. This is going to make people want to play card draw. This will actually have card draw in the game, because, as you said, there's been many attempts for us to draw cards, and nobody uses them. It is important to note that very early on, Tyler said in interviews that they were very conservative with card draw until they figured out the right place to balance it, and we could be seeing some effects of that as they start to tune it in and get it more to a playable state.
Yeah, I mean, this does need the Force, So it probably means that you're going to have to play at minimum a 28-point base to get the force more often. Because I haven't seen too many cards that give you the force that don't need the base. So this would have to be like a force deck, which I don't know if that will actually exist in the metagame. Because we might just see cards that don't use the force at all in the metagame. And I think that's something that they should consider a little bit, because when they have these sets based around the whole mechanic, and I've mentioned this before in the podcast, but like when they have the whole set based around a single mechanic, and that mechanic does not break into any kind of competitive format, it just feels bad to me. It feels like the whole set is kind of like schmeedy. Kind of like what happened with set 2 a little bit, right? Like we had the whole like capture mechanic, but the best capture card in the game was in set 3, Cad Bane.
Mm.
You know, it just felt a little weird to me that kind of happens, and I'm hoping it's something that in the future they learn from and they're moving away from a little bit, because I would like to see, like, you know, at least a dark side and a light side force deck be competitive, since that's their main selling point of the set.
Marauder, any cards from this recent dump, any of the non-leader ones that spoke to you?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've been interested in is the Inquisitor, the cycle of Inquisitors that came in this, and so we got the new Grand Inquisitor unit in that dump that gives other Inquisitors hidden, and that makes me really want to try out the original Grand Inquisitor from set 1 again, and try it with some new toys and see how it works. Maybe throw some force in, and there's also a number of other units that are for Grand Inquisitor, obviously you want to have like high HP and 3 or less power, but with raid. So there's a few of them, like the Thralls of the Coven. There's a 3/7 with raid 3 that could take 2 damage and ready, and attack immediately, that kind of stuff. So so that's something that I want to play around with and see what I can figure out.
Mm-hmm. Also, Paz Vizsla. So it's a 5 cost, double aggression, 3/6. This unit gets +2/+0 for each damage on him. If you are on the double red, that seems really interesting, because Grand Inquisitor basically gives him at least a minimum of +4/+0 buff. So that could be an interesting option as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You do only get to ready him one time with him though, because then he'll attack will be 7 attack. Well, easily 7's a lot. I feel like Grand Inquisitor, the leader from set 1, like every set that's come out, it's like, oh, these cards would be great in that. Maybe this would be the set. It's like every single time we're always let down. Every single time.
In every single set, I get so excited about some strategy that I think is going to work, and then it never ends up working. But you know what? I have a lot of fun trying it. So that's that's what the game is, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Listen, I will be trying out Chancellor Palpatine every single set until I can no longer do so.
Yeah, and me with my Wookiees too.
This card does not have the Force, but I think it should have the Force. And the art is something, but it's kind of fantastic in its own way. This is the Purgle King. He is a space unit, 8 cost, command only, leading the journey. It's a creature, 4/12, restore 4, which is a lot. When played, draw a card for each friendly unit with 7 or more remaining HP. So obviously, when you play this card, you automatically draw a card just for himself. I think this card is interesting. I don't know how competitive in Premier it'll be, but you can bet this is going to be in a lot of my Twin Sons decks, because he's just really cool and interesting. And let's be honest, who does not want to toss a bunch of lightsabers up on the Pearl King? Because it's a creature, not a vehicle, so he can hold some lightsabers, and he's got plenty of tentacles for it.
All right. One thing that I immediately think with this is I want to play him with my Piet, because giving him ambush and restore 4 does seem to make it a little bit stronger.
Sure, or you could just play Timely if you wanted to as well.
But then it would cost 1 more.
And speaking of lightsabers, can we talk about Sin Draylig?
Yeah.
Go for it.
So that's the 8 cost aggression, heroism. He's a Force Jedi Republic, 5/6 stats. And what's notable about him is that when played, you may play a lightsaber upgrade from your hand for free on this unit, and if you do, ready him. So a lot of the lightsabers will give you like +3 or +2 at least, and so you can have a ready 7, maybe 8, 9, 8, 9 or 8 unit that can immediately attack. Well, not immediately, but next action attack. That seems like a lot of fun. It costs maybe a little bit cost prohibitive, but seems like it could be a game ender.
But it does cost 7 if you're using Han too.
It does cost 7. And I think 7 would have been the real sweet spot for this card. So this card might, because this is a potential finisher, because this can attack base. That's the key thing here, right? Is that it's not ambush to attack a unit. This is ready to do whatever you want with the boy. So it could be good, but I mean, still the strongest lightsaber we have just gives +3/+3, correct? There's like not a bigger lightsaber out there.
Nope. Well, technically, Darth Maul's lightsaber gives +4/+2 if you're looking for pure stats.
Which it is free. It is free though.
Well, and
you don't have to worry with the aspect penalty. It would be
Correct.
FREE.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. But so I mean, realistically, you can expect to have a +3/+3. Let's say 8 damage is a decent chunk out of probably 30 or maybe 28 or whatever it is. But
yeah, I was going to say the lightsaber, the common one in red heroism is a free 2.
I wonder if a fear would be if this cost 5. If this cost 7, you could deploy with 5 resources up. You could deploy, and now there are 2 of them into this. Now, that would be a 3-card play where you need to have, now there are 2 of them, this card, and a lightsaber to make it its best ability. But that is not too unreasonable. I think you can kind of do it a little reliably with Han. So I am curious to see how we're going to do with this. I'm excited to potentially see what people come up with on what this will do. Anytime you see the word free in card games, it always makes you take a second look at the card.
I don't think we noted that Sin was a legendary, and I am right now dubious of it having that more than $1 status.
What did you guys think of the cycle of the Force gods, the son, the daughter, and the father?
I think the father's awful. He's not good. I think the son is like fine if you need like a way to like win with like a Vader deck, like a Vader, like the spam TIE fighter deck, and then that's like the only spot if you're going super wide. And then the daughter, I think she could have some benefits. It's just tough because getting the Force is not something that's easily repeatable. So like she's best at like if your opponent's like against the Vader deck, for example, they're hitting you with TIE fighters, you're like, cool, I'm gonna heal 2 when you're attacking me for 1. But you can't like repeatably get the Force token like that every single time. So it's I think they're fine but not great.
Yeah, gameplay wise, and I agree. They're not going to be terribly useful, but just like from a theme perspective, and just knowing that arc of the show and like how much fun that was, and then seeing them translated into cards in such a way that just screams theme. I think is awesome, and I love to see stuff like that.
Oh, I love how they're representing Mortis. I'm actually surprised we didn't see Dagger of Mortis in this set with all the other upgrades that we had, but maybe next set we'll get it if we have to buy it to guess. But
I think one thing I'm excited for in this is the lightsabers that we got. So I think every pairing got a lightsaber. I am a little bit surprised Heroism itself didn't get a lightsaber to my knowledge. I might have missed it, but if not, every other color every other pairing had got one, and Villainy got Darth Revan's lightsaber. So that was a thing that I was just. It's nice to see though more options for people when they're going to be building decks and they need a lightsaber. It's like, oh, I've at least got another option now.
Yeah, we didn't get Anakin Saber, which I imagine would have been the Heroism one had we got one.
Yeah. I mean, we did get, just looking at this heirloom lightsaber, 2/2 hero vigilance. And if it's a Force unit that it's attached to, it gets restore 1. So 2/2 for 2 with restore 1, potentially. It's common. So this is going to be going around and drafted sealed a bunch. Like that's a pretty solid lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't hate that card. Like initially, I'd want to give that a B rating ? Maybe C+. That's not bad. But no, what we need to talk about, the actual best card that was spoiled in the entire dump here, is a 1-cost cunning unit named Babu Frick.
Hey!
The boy is here. The boy has arrived. He's in the game. He is, like I said, 1-cost, 1/4 underworld, and he simply has an action. You may attack with a friendly droid unit, and for this attack, it deals damage equal to its remaining HP instead of its power. So obviously, if you attack with another 1/4, it's attacking for 4 instead of just 1, which is pretty decent. Like that's a +3 is not bad. But
the best combo with that card is the Tri-Droid Suppressor, also in Cunning. It's the 4/7 Separatist 6.2, and then when played, you can exhaust enemy ground unit. So I think it's hitting for 7 with Babu.
Hey, I mean, listen, and you can play this and play our favorite droid R2-D2 on the ground, turn 1, and now you can swing with him for 4 the following turn and murk your opponent's 2-4 or something that they played.
Yeah, the one thing to note is that you do need to have needs to be a droid.
It does need to be a droid, correct? But I mean, we have this set. We have Babu Frick. We're also got the Loth Cat, which is a 2-cost cunning 2/1 ground unit that says when defeated, you may exhaust a ground unit. So we're getting all the besties of all the cutest and most adorable things in the Star Wars universe, because in addition, we had already gotten the Porgs with, I still think, easily like top 5 best art in the set.
I do want to also just mention it because it's kind of a random droid. There is Liberated Slaves, which is a 3/5 for 3. So the fact it doesn't cost an action as well is it doesn't cost any resources to do that effect. Is worth noting as well, though. For a 3/5, if you want to make a silly deck, that would be a potential idea.
I mean, I think Dudeness is onto something potentially with like Babu and R2, like with a go wide strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, he's right. A lot of the turn 1 plays are going to be 2/4s, and that's the only way I know of currently to like on turn 2 kill the opponent's turn 1 play.
Yeah, like very reliably. Assuming you have a 2-card combo in your starting hand.
Right. Yeah. But
I mean, how many are there other 1/4 droids you can play on turn 1? I guess is the real.
Well, you can technically have 6 R2s because you have the Scry R2 and you have the Pilot R2, which is also a 1/4 on the ground.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, you could just start there. You can also play 3PO, right? Could also be 1. He's a 1/4. So
yeah, some things to consider.
And then we also know the other 3PO, which I don't think is in this set. I think it's in set 6. That has the action. It costs 1 as well in command. It says the action give a unit +2/+2 for this phase. So obviously, if you're comboing that kind of stuff with Babu, you could attack for 6 with your droid, which is pretty interesting.
BB-8 is also a 1-drop 1/4.
Yes. Yep.
So you can have both R2s and a BB-8. There's 3 1-drops to go with Babu Frick. That seems like enough.
And then you could even put like what's the 1-cost 0/3 upgrade that what's it from like set 1? Oh man, it just gives +0/+3.
Resilient.
I think it's resilient.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like putting that on R2 and he's swinging for 7 because it
might be cooking here, dude.
It doesn't say okay units. You can start hitting base for 7 on turn 2 and still have 2 resources up. So you can go like Babu R2, then Resilient your R2, and then you're swinging for 7. It's like 7. I don't know.
We do want to note that it's also you don't want to be probably attacking into other units because then your remaining health will be less for the next time you use it, unless you need to.
True.
So
it is easy to chip away at it because you still are only attacking on defense for 1, right?
And I guess you're always going to lose initiative, so they're going to get the first attack off. So maybe it's just too cute.
Maybe, but I mean, still though, you can still trade your 1-drop for their 2-drop if that's the way they want to go.
Any other set 5 cards coming back to that we want to highlight here?
We would be remiss to not talk about the first space unit that can move to the ground. So we'll talk about Leia Organa.
Well, hold on.
Don't do it.
You don't want me to do it?
Second space unit that can move to the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because technically you had this one from last set.
Yeah. Let's not forget about our boy Blue Leader, right? He sacrificed himself at Scarif.
True.
Get what we needed. Like he was a valiant effort. Blue
this is like the greatest scene in Star Wars history, so we have to go over it, right?
I mean,
it was one of the scenes of all time.
So Leia Organa is a 5-cost space unit with the subtitle Extraordinary Command Heroism, 5 attack, 5 HP, Forced, Resistant, Official. While this unit is in the space arena, she can't ready and gains action. Use the Force. Move this unit to the ground arena and give each friendly heroism unit +2/+2 for defense. She's legendary. She's doing the out in space maneuver thing in the show where she's like flying through space like Mary Poppins. This card's a card. Just like the scene, it's a card of all time, right?
That card does exist.
So the rarity makes sense. This is the kind of card I think you want at legendary. A card that's kind of complicated, that is going to have a lot of different things it's doing. It is neat. As a card itself, like, though it can't attack, or can't ready, sorry, in space, you can still use other card effects like Dogfight to get that 5/5 space unit be relevant. You can give it Sentinel. You are able to move it to the ground and give your team a buff.
Yeah.
It, though, overall, to me, doesn't seem like it's going to do what I want it to do. Especially because when you move it to the ground arena, it doesn't ready it itself. So it's still not doing anything when you move it to the ground, except giving your team extra power. So I do think it's interesting, and it definitely leads into what happened in the movies, which makes sense.
Well, I think the problem with this card is the problem with command heroism and as a whole color is that they have this like sub theme of like, oh, we're the go wide color, and like none of their cards go wide. Like realistically, like you have like home 1 from set 1, but like none of their cards go wide.
Resistance, though, the set 4 card that puts a X-Wing into play, that's a 2/1 ground unit. That puts a 2/2 X-Wing. That's like the best go wide card it has.
But they put these things on like units that have subpar stats, and then make a subpar stat other unit. And like in this game, it's just not good enough. Like you just lose on both sides of that pretty much. So it's to me, it's like they need to like, I think, remove that from the green heroism section a little bit here.
Set 4 does have Poe Dameron as well. When you play him, he makes
mostly he's attaching to the thing though to make it a 4/5.
Usually, yeah. But he does create two bodies.
That's my point, though, is that he's not actually creating an extra unit. He's just.
I think really the most important question here is, more than $1? Question mark?
No, 75 cents is my guess.
I was going to say also worth noting about her, when I was looking for ways to exploit the idea that it's a space unit in the ground arena, and then somebody pointed out that when she's in the ground arena, she's no longer a space unit.
Yes.
So trying to tricks like jump to light speed to get some recursion out of her, that kind of thing, is not going to work. So just a fair warning to people as they're theory crafting around her.
Yeah, stuff like Turbo Laser Salvo won't work either.
Yeah, while she's on the ground.
Salvo off of Leia Organa would be incredible. You can do it while she's in the space, right? But no, the real question I would like to ask you guys, have y'all ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Oh, no, I haven't. Please tell me.
Because it's a 5-cost villainy vigilance event. It says choose a friendly unit for this phase. It can't be defeated by having no remaining HP, and an opponent chooses a unit they control, defeat that unit. So this is Power of the Dark Side with a little extra, like, my guy can't die this round until the very end. But we all love it because the meme is actually in the game here. I love they give the memes to us in the cards. We love the devs for that. Thank you.
Great. It just feels a little unnatural to me.
I see what you did there.
So going to the card itself, though, this is an ability that Jrod has. And I feel as a leader, it makes sense because I can build my deck around it. And deploying Jrod in particular doesn't cost me any resources. So I can have those resources up to have it so that even when Jrod gets damaged, I can heal him or give him upgrades so he doesn't end up dying over to the next phase. On a card, though, it's like, okay, unless I have the 5-cost or the 3-cost 5/5 that heals damage when it defeats something, I don't see how that effect is going to be overly relevant. It does keep a Sentinel alive, so I guess that's probably your best value.
That actually might be his best case use, is to get through the Sentinel that can't actually die this round.
Yeah, I was thinking like Childson. That's kind of where my mind went immediately. It was
sure.
Or Snoke, Supreme.
Yeah. Okay.
Supreme Leader Snoke.
Is there a Sentinel Snoke?
No, but I'm saying it keeps that -2/-2, even if your opponent defeats it.
Yeah.
Which is so hard to do when all your units are -2/-2.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for everyone here. What do you think will be the top 3 most expensive legendaries in the set?
Vader.
Yeah, hold on now.
No, I need top 3. Don't just say 1. Top 3 in order. 1, 2, 3.
Vader takes both or all 3 top 3 spots. None of the rest of them.
I think you're wrong on that, but also no.
I have my number one answer for sure.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll do my three first then. So I would put Anakin as number one. I think people are. Yeah, I think people are sleeping on him. Even just for -3 on 6 is still solid. So I and if you have a way to do both, obviously he's insane. Like I've been playing him in Chance Palp, and he's obviously nuts in that. But his ability to even just do -3 and put a 5/7 on the board is pretty impactful. So he's number one. I think Vader is very good. And he's probably my number two if I had to guess for legendary. Although I actually think that Grogu's up there, so I'm actually going to put Grogu in front of Vader because Vader needs ambush, and without ambush, he thinks. So that means you have to play either ECL or Timely or whatever the new one is now. I'm just blanking on the name of it. The yellow card. I'll find it real quick. Sheehan Flurry. So if you need one of those three cards to combo with him, and then he costs 7, not 6. So it's a little weird. So I would put Anakin, Grogu, and then Grogu, and then HK-47. I think are my top 3 in that order.
Yeah, HK makes sense because he's a 2 cost, and people are going to want 3 of them in their decks.
We've already
more
seen
often
it
than
with Kylo's Typhonzer, right?
Yeah.
Like I hate having mandatory 2-drops at the legendary slot. It's really obnoxious.
Yeah. Well, wait till you face Hantu Blue with Grogu on turn 1, and he's a 1/4, and then kills your turn 1 play just by doing nothing. So
Hantu actually also has that again. The Ogudu Bugudu 5/5 out turn 1 that can't attack unless it's damage, so Han damages him, and he's a 5/3 that when he attacks and defeats a unit heals 2. That's also really obnoxious too. So Han Blue seems really good. Han 2.
I really need you to. I didn't catch the name of that card.
It's Shut Your Mouth, double go. I do agree with Jrod though. I think that Anakin has been really gross, so I probably agree with your order of Anakin. I think Grogu would be number 2 as well. Grogu does benefit from name recognition, where something like Darth Vader does as well, and HK does not. But as for the same reason you guys mentioned, I think being a 2-drop mandatory red villainy 2/4 that has a generic upside seems good enough to be the 3rd best.
Yeah, agreed. And that's kind of where we're at with the set. There's a lot of these cards that it's like, ooh, am I ever actually playing this? Question mark. Okay, so go ahead. No,
go. No,
I want to go my top 3 real quick. I'm gonna go with Darth Vader. This is simply pure name recognition. I think it has probably the most banging art of the base version of all the legendaries.
And so Anakin so hard there. Whew.
So I go Darth, and then I'm gonna go Anakin, and then I'm gonna take the easy route in HK-47 because I really think everyone's gonna want that card if they're playing those colors.
All right, definitely. When you said HK-47, I definitely heard AK-47. So it's very similar. I do want to talk about another legendary though, and this is not for value wise, but it is something that got spoiled, and that is Always 2. As we talked about with story of the Legend of Plagueis, we're also talking about the rule of 2 and choose 2 friendly Sith units, unique Sith units. If you do, give 2 shield tokens and 2 experience tokens to each chosen unit, and then defeat all other friendly units. I mean, if you're playing this in your deck, you're not going to be going wide. So I don't think, and in this game, you're not honestly having usually a ton of units. So that downside, in my mind, really isn't that big of a downside. You do have to have a unique Sith unit, so you can't have the Sith troopers that we got last set. But this can still be really strong because something like HK is a Sith unit. And then you've got even simply as that and a leader gives you things that you're going to be getting a lot, getting 2 shield token. The 2 experience token is nice, but we have seen that before. But giving 2 shield counters seems really strong.
I just want to point out really right now, HK-47 is a 2-drop Sith. So he's a 2-drop Sith because the ideal curve here is a 2-drop Sith into a 3-drop Sith into the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so HK fits that curve pretty well. There's also the Vinay. He's another 2-drop in command. Villainy is a 2/4
Yep.
Sith, and that's it actually for 2-drop Siths that are unique.
And Benet has some synergy with the experience tokens, which is nice.
So like there is a potential curve there of 2-drop unique Sith into 3-drop unique Sith into the roll of 2, and that's a lot of experience and shield tokens being put out.
We got already.
That you're either exhausting, bouncing, or straight up defeating. Those are really the only ways.
You could run Asajj, the leader. I guess you're running multiple colors. I guess to run HK and Asajj and this. But if you can find a way, that would be she's a 4-cost Sith leader. So that is pretty spicy. She's actually the cheapest Sith leader by a lot, like by a while. So that's something to consider.
I think the problem with this is, like, I was just looking like, oh, like, are they counting Kylo as a Sith? Because I think for this to be good, you need a good leader that's Sentinel Sith. Because obviously when you deploy them and they have usually big butts, they usually can't get taken out in one hit or one card. So you'd get an opportunity then to play always 2 and make them bigger in 2 shields. And then it's like, oh, how do I deal with this guy? You know?
We do have this Scimitar is a Sith vehicle that's unique. So that is also worth noting. So we do have one vehicle that you could put this effect on. So especially if you have Scimitar damaged, it could potentially be an 8/5 double shielded. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Doesn't stink.
It doesn't stink. No. So, but ultimately, the question I would like to pose to you guys: $1 legendary or more?
Less.
It's too specified to, I think, have wide appeal.
It'll also depend on what prestiges get done. Like will affect the value, the relative value of the legendaries, I think.
Because we haven't seen, how many prestiges have we actually seen up at this point? Not that many, right?
We've seen the art of a couple of the prestiges, but not the full cards. So like we've like the ones with the purple background, for instance. We know it's like the triple cards that will be together, so we know what they look like. You see it actually like Pong, Karis, and Kylo Ren. Those are like the 3 that we've seen together. We actually have seen those full cards. We've seen Murin, and we've seen Grogu and Gungi. So we've seen a couple, but definitely not all.
The handful, but definitely a lot to still spoil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they said they were going to give like the creators like whatever card they had. If there's a different like rarity, like a prestige or a showcase, they let them reveal that instead, I guess, now or something like that. So
all right, cool. Yeah.
Try to help out where they can with that, obviously.
We do want to say thank you very much to FFG again for giving us Anakin Skywalker as a spoiler. Like, I feel so thankful that we got to reveal, as we all agreed, one of the best cards in the set.
You should be thanking me because they gave us that because I'm a Chancellor Palpatine stan. And they were like, I would be the perfect person to talk about this card since it's a perfect Palpatine card.
Thank you very much, Xander, for being awesome and for you alone being the reason that we got this. We really appreciate you.
Shout out to Xander.
Yeah, shout out to Xander. We appreciate all of you guys sticking with us. This was a bit longer episode than normal, but there were a lot of cards to talk about. And thank you so much for choosing to watch us. We're hoping to get more content out to you, especially with all these new cards. You can expect a draft, a tier list, and some deck text with the new cards. Wish you guys all the best and have a good day. We'll see you next time on Outmaneuver.
Cheers, y'all.
Later, everybody.